My mother-in-law only stayed for one weekend long enough to turn my home into a battlefield, my marriage into a collateral agreement, and my reputation into currency for negotiation. Until our neighbor knocked on the door carrying video footage, receipts, and a truth that anyone would want to bury forever. I thought I was about to lose everything. Turns out, I was about to take it all back in a way they'd never forget. My name is Ava Callahan, and I should have known something was wrong the moment Tyler announced his mother's visit with that peculiar half-smile, the one that appeared whenever he was about to ask for something he knew I wouldn't like. "Just a few days," he said that Friday morning, stirring sugar into his coffee with deliberate slowness. The Denver sunrise cast cold light through our kitchen windows, making the stainless steel appliances gleam like surgical instruments. The coffee maker gurgled its familiar morning rhythm, a sound I'd once found comforting but now seemed to echo with warning. "Your mother lives 40 minutes away, Tyler. Why does she need to stay here? She's having her floors redone." He wouldn't meet my eyes, focusing instead on the swirling cream in his mug. "Besides, she wants to help us get organized. You know how busy you've been at Pinebridge Analytics lately." The way he said my company's name with just a hint of resentment made my stomach tighten. 6 months of unemployment had turned my husband into someone I barely recognized, someone who drove for rideshare apps at odd hours and came home smelling of other people's fast food and disappointment. Before I could respond, we heard the precise click of heels on our front porch, followed by the doorbell's cheerful chime. Tyler jumped up so quickly he nearly knocked over his coffee. "That's her." Sut, Linda Callahan entered our home the way a general enters conquered territory, with a small, efficient suitcase and eyes that cataloged everything. At 62, she maintained the kind of rigid posture that suggested years of judging other people's failures. Her silver hair was styled in a helmet of careful waves, and her smile never quite reached her eyes. "Ava, darling." She air-kissed my cheek, her perfume something expensive and suffocating filling my nostrils. "Your home looks lived in. That's nice. Very authentic." While Tyler hauled her suitcase upstairs, Linda wandered into my home office, running her manicured fingers along the desk's edge. "Such important work you do," she murmured, though she'd never once asked about my actual job as a risk analysis specialist. "All these papers and files must be overwhelming." "I have a system," I said, watching her pause at my filing cabinet. "I'm sure you do, dear. But wouldn't it be nice to have some help? I used to manage the books for Harold's practice for 30 years. She pulled at a drawer handle locked. "Thankfully. I could help you organize everything this weekend. Make sure all your important documents are properly filed." Tyler reappeared in the doorway, his expression eager. "That's a great idea. Mom, actually, Ava, you should know Pinebridge Analytics announced another round of cuts yesterday." This was news to me. "Where did you hear that? Online financial forums?" He exchanged a quick glance with his mother. "Maybe it would be good to have Mom look over our finances, just to make sure we're prepared for anything." Linda was already settling into my desk chair, her fingers dancing near my keyboard. "It's what family does, dear. We help each other." At that moment, my phone buzzed with an email notification from my secondary bank account, the one I'd opened before Tyler lost his job, just in case. The subject line made my blood run cold. "Password reset request unusual, login detected." The timestamp showed 11:43 a.m. I was in a meeting at Pinebridge Analytics at 11:43 a.m. "Everything all right, dear?" Linda asked, her voice honey-sweet as she watched me stare at my phone. "Fine," I lied, slipping the phone into my pocket. "But I need to get ready for work. The guest room is ready for you, Linda." As I climbed the stairs, I heard the distinctive sound of metal on metal keys rattling. Not Tyler's keys, which he always kept on the hook by the door. These made a different sound, sharper, more deliberate, like someone testing which key might fit which lock. The coffee maker had stopped gurgling. The morning light had shifted from cold to harsh, and somewhere in my house, my mother-in-law was already making plans. I just didn't know yet how much she intended to take. Saturday morning arrived with Linda already cleaning my home office when I came downstairs at 7:30. Papers were stacked in new piles. My carefully organized system disrupted like a crime scene that had been sanitized. "I found these bills mixed in with your work documents," she announced, holding up a credit card statement I'd never seen before. "Really, Ava, you should keep personal and professional separate." I took the statement from her hands. The account number wasn't mine, but my name was printed at the top. "This isn't my card." "Memory problems already." "You're only 34. Her laugh tinkled like breaking glass. "Tyler mentioned you've been stressed. Maybe we should consolidate your accounts. Make things simpler." Tyler appeared with coffee, his mother's perfect soldier. "Mom's right. We have too many separate accounts. It's inefficient." Speaking of efficiency, Linda continued, producing a folder I'd never seen before. "I've been looking into that kitchen renovation you wanted. We could get a home improvement loan approved quickly. Interest rates are excellent right now." "I never said I wanted—" "You mentioned it last Christmas." Tyler interrupted. "Remember when the dishwasher broke?" I hadn't mentioned anything. The dishwasher never broke. But they both stared at me with identical expressions of patient concern, as if I were the confused one. My phone buzzed. Another text notification. This time, a one-time password from our primary bank. "Your OTP is 847291. Never share this code." I hadn't requested any OTP. "Everything okay?" Tyler asked, but his eyes were on my phone screen. "Just work," I said, deleting the message while making a mental note of the timestamp 9:14 a.m. Linda had moved to my desk again, shuffling through papers with practiced efficiency. That's when I spotted a manila envelope partially hidden under her purse, marked with a notary seal. Through the thin paper, I could make out my name and what looked like my signature, but the pressure of the pen strokes was wrong. I'd spent 5 years analyzing documents for fraud at Pinebridge Analytics. I knew my own signature's rhythm the way I lifted the pen between the A and the V, the particular slant of my lowercase a. This signature was a careful copy, but the hesitation marks were visible to my trained eye. Someone had traced it. "Linda, what's in that envelope?" She followed my gaze and smiled. "Oh, just some documents from my lawyer. Estate planning. Nothing that concerns you yet, dear." The doorbell rang before I could respond. Through the peephole, I saw Naomi Brooks, our HOA treasurer, holding a stack of mail. "Morning, Ava." Naomi's voice was bright, but her eyes held something else concern, maybe warning. "Some of your mail got delivered to my box by mistake. Also, my doorbell camera caught something odd last night. Someone was on your porch at 1:12 Linda appeared behind me. "How strange. We were all asleep by 10. Naomi's gaze sharpened. "The person looked like they were going through your mailbox. I have the footage if you want to see it." "That won't be necessary," Linda said quickly. "Probably just a package delivery." At 1:12 in the morning, Naomi pulled out her phone. The person was wearing, let me see, a dark cardigan and pearl earrings. Linda's hand went unconsciously to her pearl earrings, the ones she never took off. "I'll take that footage," I said, pulling out my phone. "Can you airdrop it to me?" "Already done," Naomi said, giving Linda a long look. "You know, we've had reports of identity theft in the neighborhood. Someone's been stealing financial documents from mailboxes. You should be careful." After she left, I locked myself in the bathroom and opened the video. There she was, Linda, clear as day, using what looked like a letter opener to fish mail from our box. The infrared camera had caught her perfectly, down to the wedding ring with its distinctive square diamond. When I came out, Tyler and Linda were huddled at the dining table, papers spread between them. "We're just organizing," Tyler said defensively. "Mom found some investment opportunities." I started documenting everything. Every moved paper, every suspicious glance, every notification on my phone. My risk analyst training kicked in. Log everything. Assume nothing. Verify all. That afternoon, while Linda helped with laundry, I found the credit freeze option on my phone and activated it for all 3 bureaus. Then I changed every password, enabled two-factor authentication, and started a detailed incident report in a secure cloud folder they couldn't access. The pieces were falling into place, forming a picture I didn't want to see. But I had to see it. Because in my line of work, the biggest risk was always the one you refused to acknowledge. Saturday lunch was served on our best plates, the ones Linda had given us for our wedding. She'd insisted on preparing the meal, her movements in my kitchen as precise as a surgeon's. The smell of her famous pot roast filled the air, but it might as well have been sulfur for how it turned my stomach. "We need to talk about your financial situation," Linda announced as she set down a stack of papers beside my plate. The knife cutting through my sandwich hit the porcelain with a sharp crack like the sound of a safety latch releasing. Tyler cleared his throat. "Mom's been going through the bills, and it's worse than we thought." Linda spread the papers like tarot cards foretelling disaster. Each one bore my name. Store credit cards I'd never opened. Buy now, pay later accounts I'd never authorized. And at the bottom, the crown jewel, a home improvement loan for $38,500. "The payment is due Monday," Linda said, her voice dripping with maternal concern. "Darling, I understand. Smart women sometimes get overwhelmed. Let me handle this for you." I picked up the loan document. The signature was better this time they'd been practicing. But the date was wrong. It showed I'd signed it 3 days ago, when I'd been in back-to-back meetings from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., all recorded in Pinebridge Analytics security system. "I didn't sign this." "Denial won't help," Tyler said, his jaw tight. "Mom's trying to save us from bankruptcy. Just sign this power of attorney." Linda pushed another document toward me, already filled out. "I'll negotiate with the creditors. I have connections." The dining room felt smaller suddenly, the walls pressing in. They sat on either side of me like prison guards, waiting. The grandfather clock in the hallway ticked steadily 12:47 p.m., each second counting down to Monday's supposed deadline. "No." The word hung in the air like a challenge. Linda's mask slipped for just a second, a flash of something vicious before the concerned mother returned. "Ava, dear, you're not thinking clearly." I pulled out my phone and started photographing each document. "I'm thinking perfectly clearly." The camera clicked with satisfying finality. "These are fraudulent accounts." "You're calling my mother a liar." Tyler stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. "I'm calling this fraud." I opened my banking app, fingers flying across the screen. Credit frozen as of 2 hours ago. Fraud report filed. The confirmation number appeared FRD 2024-789043. I screenshotted and continued. "Every one of these accounts will be investigated." Linda's voice turned cold. "You're making a mistake." "Family helps family." "Family doesn't steal family's identity." Tyler slammed his hand on the table. "Sign the papers. Ava, Mom knows what she's doing." "She certainly does." I stood up, taking the documents with me. "She knows exactly what she's doing." I locked myself in our bedroom and called the non-emergency police line, just to create a record. Then I emailed everything to my personal attorney and my work email, multiple backups, multiple timestamps. The fraud department at each credit card company received detailed reports with attached evidence. Through the door, I could hear them talking in urgent whispers. Linda's voice carried, "She's more stubborn than you said." "You promised this would be easy," Tyler replied. "You said she'd never notice until it was too late." "It's not too late. We just need to be more persuasive." I opened my laptop and started a spreadsheet, documenting everything with the precision I used for risk assessments at work. Times, dates, amounts, account numbers. The pattern was clear. They'd been planning this for months, probably since Tyler lost his job. My phone rang. The credit card company. "Ms. Callahan, we're calling about unusual activity. Someone attempted to add an authorized user to your account 15 minutes ago. The request came from an IP address registered to your home." 15 minutes ago. I'd been photographing evidence, but Tyler had been on his laptop in the living room. "Deny it," I said. And please note that I'm reporting identity theft by family members. We'll freeze the account immediately and send you an affidavit. When I finally emerged from the bedroom, Linda was sitting in my spot at the dining table, sorting through more papers, from my office. "These investment statements are concerning," she said without looking up. "So much money just sitting there, not helping family." The afternoon sun slanted through the windows, casting long shadows across the table. The house smelled of pot roast and betrayal. The knife from lunch still lay on my plate, its edge catching the light. "Those are mine," I said quietly. "What's yours is Tyler's," Linda replied. "And what's Tyler's is mine to protect." The trap was set. They just didn't know I was the one setting it. Saturday evening at 8:20 p.m., the doorbell rang with an urgency that cut through the manufactured calm of our household. Linda was in the kitchen, humming while she washed dishes, playing the devoted mother-in-law, while Tyler sat hunched over his laptop, probably attempting another breach of my accounts. Naomi Brooks stood at my door, her face grave. "I think you need to see this," she said, holding up her phone. "Can we talk privately?" I stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind me. The cool Denver air was a relief after the suffocating atmosphere inside. "I wasn't completely honest earlier," Naomi began, swiping through her phone. "My doorbell camera caught more than just last night." She turned the screen toward me. The footage was crystal clear, the benefit of her top-tier security system. There was Linda at 1:12 a.m., not just fishing mail from our box, but actually opening envelopes with what I now recognized as my own letter opener, the one from my desk. She held each document up to the porch light, photographing some with her phone, sliding others into her cardigan pocket. "There's more." Naomi swiped to another video. "This was 2 nights ago, Thursday at 1:45 a.m. This time, Tyler was with her. He stood watch while Linda worked, occasionally glancing at his phone, likely monitoring to see if our bedroom lights came on. They moved with practiced efficiency, like they'd done this before. "The detail is incredible," I murmured, noting how the camera had captured Linda's distinctive ring, the monogram on her cardigan, even the bank logo on the envelopes she'd targeted. "4K resolution with infrared," Naomi said with satisfaction. "I upgraded after the Petersons had their identity stolen last year, but here's what made me come over." She pulled up a third video from earlier that evening, at 6:30 p.m. "Look at your mailbox." Linda again, but this time in broad daylight, bold as brass. She was placing something inside our mailbox, not taking, but leaving. "She's planting evidence," I breathed. "That's what I thought. So I did something possibly illegal." Naomi looked embarrassed. "After she went inside, I checked your mailbox." She handed me an envelope, already opened. Inside was a credit card statement for an account I'd never opened, showing thousands in charges with a past due notice stamped in red. The statement date was backdated 2 weeks. "She's creating a paper trail," I said, my risk analyst mind racing. "Making it look like I've been hiding debt, missing payments." "There's one more thing." Naomi pulled up her tablet, showing a spreadsheet. "As HOA treasurer, I have access to certain records. 3 weeks ago, someone called asking to verify your address for a home improvement loan. They had all your information, social security number, birthday, mother's maiden name. I told them I couldn't verify resident information, but they already knew everything." "Did you get a name?" "Linda Callahan. She identified herself as your financial advisor." The pieces clicked together with horrible clarity. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. It was a long-term plan. "Can you send me all of this?" I asked, pulling out my phone. "Already done. I've uploaded everything to a secure cloud drive." She handed me a piece of paper with login credentials. I also took the liberty of creating a checksum for each file hash values that prove they haven't been tampered with. Timestamps are preserved from the original recordings. "You seem to know a lot about digital evidence preservation." Naomi smiled grimly. 20 years in IT before I retired. I know how to maintain a chain of custody for digital evidence. Each file has metadata that will hold up in court. Back inside, I found Linda and Tyler exactly where I expected, huddled over more documents at the dining table. They looked up with identical expressions of false innocence. "Just going over some investment opportunities," Linda said smoothly. "Tyler found a wonderful chance to steal more from me." The words came out calmer than I felt. Tyler's face flushed. "We're trying to help you. By opening credit cards in my name, by photographing my bank statements at 1 a.m. Linda went very still. "I don't know what you're talking about." I held up my phone. The video paused on her face, illuminated by our porch light. Should I press play? The silence stretched between us like a taut wire. Linda recovered first, her expression shifting to wounded dignity. "Checking on my son's family's financial health isn't a crime. Mail tampering is. Identity theft is. Fraud is." "You can't prove anything," Tyler said, but his voice cracked. I smiled then, the kind of smile I'd learned from Linda herself, all teeth, no warmth. "Can't I?" I saved every file to 3 different locations, created my own checksums, and started a backup to my attorney's secure server. The digital trail was now preserved, time-stamped, and undeniable. The game had changed. They just didn't know it yet. Sunday morning arrived with a deceptive calm. I woke at 5:30 a.m. and set my trap with the methodical precision I used for risk assessments. Every move calculated, every variable considered. First, I created a honeypot, a fake investment account using a virtual bank service that appeared to hold my retirement funds. The documents looked authentic, complete with account numbers and a balance of $247,000. But embedded in the PDF was a digital watermark invisible to the naked eye, along with tracking pixels that would record IP addresses, device information, and timestamps of anyone who accessed it. I left the document conspicuously on my laptop screen, then made a show of rushing to the bathroom, calling out, "Tyler, can you close my laptop? I left something important open." From the hallway, I watched through the crack under the door as both Tyler and Linda huddled around my computer. They didn't just close it. Linda photographed the screen with her phone while Tyler forwarded the document to himself. The tracking pixels fired immediately, sending alerts to my phone IP address logged, device fingerprints captured, geographic location confirmed. Phase 2 required theater. At breakfast, I announced with calculated resignation, "You're right. Maybe I do need help managing everything. There's a notary at Greenridge Office Plaza who works Sundays. We could transfer temporary oversight of my accounts." Linda's eyes lit up with predatory satisfaction. "That's very mature of you, dear." "I know someone there," she added quickly. "Patricia. We went to school together." "Of course she did." I smiled and nodded, texting Naomi under the table. "If you hear anything concerning from my house after 9 a.m., call non-emergency police. Document everything." While Linda called her friend to arrange the appointment, I filed my fraud reports online with the FBI's IC3, the Federal Trade Commission, and the Colorado Attorney General's office. Each generated a case number, creating an official timestamp before any documents could be signed. "The appointment's at 11, Linda announced triumphantly. "Patricia will make sure everything is properly handled." I spent the next hour preparing my evidence package. Every video from Naomi's camera, every fraudulent account statement, every timestamp and IP log organized into a digital folder with a clear chain of custody. I uploaded it to my attorney's server and sent copies to a friend at the Denver Police Department's Financial Crimes Unit. Then I created the masterstroke of false power of attorney document, nearly identical to what Linda wanted me to sign, but with crucial differences in the legal language that would make it invalid while appearing legitimate. I also embedded tracking codes in this document and left it in my desk drawer, partially visible. At 10:15 a.m., while I was getting ready upstairs, I heard Linda's voice from my office. "Found it. She already drafted one. We just need to get her to sign it at the notary." They'd taken the bait. I came downstairs to find them both dressed formally, like they were attending a business meeting. Tyler wore his only suit, the one from our wedding. now tied around the middle. Linda had chosen a conservative blazer that screamed respectability. "Ready?" Tyler asked, jingling his keys. "Actually, let me drive separately," I said. "I might need to go to the office afterward." Linda's smile flickered. "We should stay together, as a family." "I'll meet you there." In my car, I called the real Greenridge office plaza. They had no notary named Patricia, no Sunday appointments, and no record of Linda's call. I recorded the conversation, then contacted the actual on-call notary service for Denver County, warning them about potential fraud attempts using my identity. I also triggered the next phase, sending a pre-written email to my bank's fraud department with all the evidence, scheduled to send at 11:30 a.m., unless I canceled it. A dead man's switch, in case things went wrong. My phone buzzed with alerts from the honeypot document. Someone had attempted to log into the fake account using the credentials visible in the document. The attempt was made from Tyler's laptop, using our home IP address, at 10:27 a.m. Perfect. I texted my attorney. "They're attempting unauthorized access to accounts. Have everything documented. Moving to phase 3. Then I sent Naomi a message. "It's happening. Be ready." The final piece was already in motion. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation had been alerted to a potential elder financial abuse case in reverse, where an older family member was attempting to defraud a younger one. They were particularly interested in the interstate commerce angle, since Linda lived in a different county and some of the fraudulent accounts crossed state lines. As I pulled into the Greenridge Office Plaza parking lot, I saw Tyler's car already there. Linda stood beside it, her phone pressed to her ear, probably wondering why Patricia wasn't answering. I parked strategically where my dashcam would capture their vehicles and any confrontation that might occur. The trap was set. Every digital thread led back to them. Every attempt to access my accounts was logged, traced, and documented. Now came the dangerous part, letting them think they'd won, just long enough to reveal the full extent of their scheme. The Greenridge Office Plaza on Sunday morning felt like a stage set for confrontation. The legitimate notary office, not Linda's fictional Patricia, smelled of ink and paper, with fluorescent lights that made everyone look guilty. The actual notary, James Patterson, was a thorough man in his 60s who took his responsibilities seriously. "I'll need to see original documents and valid IDs from everyone," he announced, adjusting his glasses. Linda produced the power of attorney document, the fake one I'd planted, not realizing it contained legally void language and digital tracking markers. "My daughter-in-law has already reviewed this." "Actually," I said, pulling out my phone, "I have some questions about the provenance of these documents." I opened the video from Naomi's camera, holding it where James could see. "This shows Mrs. Callahan removing documents from my mailbox at 1:12 a.m. without permission." Linda's composure cracked. That's doctored? The metadata says otherwise." I swiped to the next screen. "Here's the chain of custody documentation, checksums, and timestamp verification." James Patterson leaned back in his chair. "Ma'am, I cannot proceed with any transaction where there's a question of coercion or fraud." "This is ridiculous!" Tyler exploded, standing up so fast his chair scraped against the floor. "We're trying to help her. By accessing my accounts without authorization." I pulled up the honeypot alerts on my phone. At 10:27 a.m. this morning, someone used Tyler's laptop to attempt logging into an investment account using credentials they photographed from my screen. "You can't prove that," Linda said, but her voice had gone thin. "IP address matches your home network. Device fingerprint matches Tyler's MacBook Pro, the one registered to his Apple ID." I showed James the logs. "This is attempted unauthorized access to financial accounts." James Patterson was already packing up his materials. "I'm required to report suspected financial exploitation to the authorities. This meeting is concluded." "Sign the papers." Tyler grabbed my wrist, his grip tight enough to leave marks. "Just sign them, Ava." "That's assault," James said quietly, reaching for his phone. "Sir, I need you to release her immediately or I'm calling the police." Linda tried a different approach, her voice shifting to wounded maternal tones. "Ava, we're family. Families help each other through difficult times. With Tyler unemployed and your position at risk, my position isn't at risk. I pulled free from Tyler's grip. But yours is. Linda. Mail theft is a federal crime. Identity theft crosses state lines, making it FBI jurisdiction. At that moment, my phone rang. I put it on speaker. It was the fraud department at my bank. Ms. Callahan, we're calling to confirm suspicious activity. Someone attempted to add themselves as an authorized user on your account 30 minutes ago. The request came from IP address. That matches my home network. I finished. Where my husband and mother-in-law currently have access. Please freeze all accounts and flag them for fraud investigation. Already done. We're also seeing attempts to reset your password using security questions. The answers provided were incorrect but showed knowledge of personal information. Can you confirm you're safe? James Patterson took the phone from my hand. This is James Patterson, licensed notary public. License number NP4738. I'm witnessing what appears to be attempted financial exploitation. Ms. Callahan is safe but has been subjected to coercion attempts. Linda's face had gone pale. You don't understand. We had expenses. The house renovation. The $38,000 loan you took out in my name, I asked. The one where you forged my signature. She stopped talking. Here's what you don't understand. Linda. I pulled up another screen call logs with the contractor. I called statewide renovations yesterday. They confirmed the contract signature matches yours, not mine. The phone number on the application is yours. The email verification went to an account you created, Ava Callahan, backup at Gmail, thinking you were clever. The email has your name, Tyler said desperately. Created from your mother's iPad. Digital forensics will confirm it. I turned to James. Can you note in your records that I'm refusing to sign anything under duress and that I've presented evidence of identity theft? Already documenting everything, he replied, typing rapidly. I'll need copies of all evidence for my report to the Attorney General's office. Linda stood up slowly, her mask completely gone now, replaced by something hard and calculating. You think you've won, Tyler will divorce you. You'll lose the house. The house? I laughed, actually laughed. The one where you committed mail theft on camera, where you accessed financial accounts without authorization. That crime scene. My phone buzzed with another alert. The FBI IC3 complaint had been received and assigned a case number. Tyler looked between his mother and me, his face crumbling as he finally understood the scope of what they'd done. Mom said it would be easy. Said you'd never notice. She counted on me trusting family. I gathered my documents, my hands steady now. She was wrong. As we filed out of the office, James Patterson called after us. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation will be in contact within 24 hours. I'd suggest you all retain attorneys. Linda's heels clicked against the tile floor, no longer the sound of authority, but of retreat. The drive home from Green Ridge was silent torture. Tyler and Linda had arrived before me, and through the window. I could see them in the living room, Linda gesticulating wildly while Tyler paced like a caged animal. I sat in my car for a moment, composing myself for the final act. At 3:45 p.m., the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Naomi Brooks standing there with a banker's box in her arms, her expression grim and determined. Behind her stood two other neighbors' witnesses she'd brought along. I need to speak with all three of you, she announced loudly enough for Tyler and Linda to hear. It's about the HOA investigation. Linda appeared in the foyer, her face carefully composed. This is a private family matter. Not anymore. Naomi pushed past her, setting the box on our dining table with a heavy thud. As HOA treasurer, I'm obligated to report financial crimes that affect our community. She began pulling out documents, laying them in precise rows like evidence at a trial. 3 nights of footage from my security system. Printouts of video stills, each time-stamped and labeled. Linda's face illuminated by our porch light, her hands in our mailbox. Tyler standing watch. Notarized affidavits from 6 neighbors who witnessed unusual activity at your mailbox. She placed these next to the photos. Mr. Peterson saw Linda here at 2 last Tuesday. Mrs. Chang noticed someone matching Tyler's description checking multiple mailboxes on Thursday. Tyler started to speak, but Naomi held up her hand. I'm not finished. She pulled out a thick folder. HOA records showing a contractor inquiry about a $38,000 kitchen renovation at this address. The contractor called me to verify the homeowner's identity because the signature looked suspicious. She produced the document. I had a forensic handwriting expert, my nephew, actually, works for the state crime lab, take a look. Want to know what he found? The room was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. The signature matches exemplars from Linda Callahan, not Ava. She placed a comparison chart on the table. See the distinctive loop in the L, the pressure pattern on the downstrokes. Linda, you signed Ava's name. That's circumstantial, Linda began. Then there's this. Naomi pulled out her tablet, showing bank records. As HOA treasurer, I process dues payments. I noticed something interesting. Someone's been testing Ava's account numbers with small deposits and withdrawals. The penny test, we call it in banking. Always from the same IP address. She turned the screen toward us. I cross-referenced with the HOA's web portal logs. Linda, you logged into our system from your phone to pay your son's HOA fees last month. Same device fingerprint that's been hitting Ava's accounts. Linda sank into a chair, her carefully constructed dignity crumbling. But here's the smoking gun. Naomi produced a manila envelope marked with official seals. The contractor you hired. He recorded your phone call. She pulled out a USB drive. Would you like me to play it without waiting for an answer? She plugged it into her phone. Linda's voice filled the room, clear and unmistakable. The owner won't be available to sign. I have power of attorney. Yes, Ava Callahan. That's my daughter-in-law. Just email the contracts to Linda Callahan at... You recorded me without my consent, Linda shrieked. Colorado is a one-party consent state for recordings, I said quietly. The contractor only needed his own consent, and he was very concerned about the fraudulent signature. Naomi wasn't done. There's also this emails between you and someone named Patricia about handling the notary situation. Except Patricia doesn't exist. The email bounced back, but not before our security system logged the attempt. Tyler had gone pale, sweat beading on his forehead. Mom, you said, shut up. Tyler, Linda snapped, then caught herself. I mean, this is all a misunderstanding. Is it? I asked, pulling out my phone. Because I have the call logs here from Capital One, Chase, Wells Fargo, and 3 other banks, all confirming attempted unauthorized access from devices registered to both of you. Naomi placed one final document on the table. I've compiled everything into a report for the authorities. 67 pages of evidence, all properly documented and verified. The Denver Police Department's Financial Crimes Unit has already received a copy. At that moment, my phone rang. I put it on speaker. Ms. Callahan, this is Detective Sarah Martinez with Denver PD Financial Crimes. We've reviewed the evidence package submitted by Mrs. Brooks and your attorney. We're dispatching units to your address now. Please confirm everyone is present and safe. We're all here, I said, looking directly at Linda. All the relevant parties. Linda stood up, reaching for her purse. I'm leaving. I wouldn't do that, Naomi said mildly. That would be fleeing the scene of a reported crime. The detective just said units are on the way. Through the window, we could see the first patrol car turning onto our street, lights flashing but sirens off. Tyler grabbed my arm. Don't do this, please. She's my mother. And I was your wife, I replied, pulling free. That didn't stop either of you. The doorbell rang. Time was up. 2 uniformed officers stood at my door, their expressions professionally neutral. Behind them, Detective Martinez stepped forward, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes that had seen every variation of family betrayal. Ms. Callahan, we need to document the scene and take statements from everyone. Linda tried one last manipulation, her voice shifting to fragile elderly woman. Officers, this is just a family misunderstanding. My daughter-in-law is confused. Ma'am, we have 70 pages of evidence, including video footage of you tampering with a federal mailbox. Detective Martinez's voice was flat. That alone is a federal crime. The living room became a crime scene. Officers photographed everything while Detective Martinez reviewed Naomi's evidence box. Each document was logged, each video timestamp verified. The walls seemed to close in as Linda watched her carefully constructed scheme dissected by professionals. Mr. Callahan, an officer addressed Tyler, we need to see your devices. Laptop, phone, tablets. You need a warrant. Tyler started. We have one. Detective Martinez produced the document. Judge signed it an hour ago based on the evidence submitted. Identity theft, mail fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, these are serious charges. As Tyler handed over his laptop, alerts started pinging on my phone. The banks were confirming fraudulent access attempt blocked, criminal investigation reference number assigned. Mrs. Linda Callahan. Detective Martinez stood before my mother-in-law. You're under arrest for mail theft, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit fraud. You have the right to remain silent. The handcuffs clicked around Linda's wrists with a metallic finality. Her face crumbled as the detective continued reading her rights, each word shattering the image of the respectable mother she'd cultivated for decades. Tyler Callahan. The second officer approached my husband. You're also under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud and attempted coercion. Ava, please. Tyler's voice cracked as they cuffed him. Tell them this is a mistake. I stood perfectly still, my voice steady as granite. The only mistake was thinking I wouldn't protect myself. Detective Martinez turned to me. We'll need you to come to the station tomorrow to file additional statements. Bring your attorney. As they led Linda toward the patrol car, Naomi's doorbell camera chimed that distinctive ding that had captured everything. The sound seemed to echo, a digital witness to justice being served. Linda turned back one last time, her carefully styled hair now disheveled, makeup smeared. You've destroyed this family. No, I replied, standing in my doorway with Naomi beside me. You destroyed it the moment you decided I was just an account to drain. The patrol cars pulled away at 5:23 p.m., leaving tire marks on our pristine driveway. Inside, my phone displayed a cascade of notifications. Fraud case escalated, temporary credit restored. All unauthorized accounts frozen pending investigation. Identity protection activated on all profiles. I walked through my house, and began the systematic process of changing every lock. The smart lock system beeped as I reprogrammed it, erasing Tyler's and Linda's access codes forever. The security system armed with a new password they'd never guess. Detective Martinez called an hour later. The preliminary digital forensics confirm everything. The attempted access logs, the IP addresses, the device fingerprints, it all matches. The DA is considering federal charges for the mail theft. That evening, as I sat with Naomi on my porch, she showed me one final video from her camera. It was from an hour ago, Tyler in the back of the patrol car, finally telling the truth to save himself, throwing his mother under the bus she'd been driving straight at me. You know what the ironic part is, Naomi mused, sipping tea from my good china, the china Linda had always criticized. If they'd just asked for help honestly, you probably would have given it. She was right. But they hadn't wanted help. They'd wanted control, wanted to take what they believed they deserved simply because family was supposed to be an open vault. My phone rang the lawyer confirming the restraining orders would be ready by morning. No contact, directly or indirectly. The house would be mine in the divorce attempted fraud tends to influence property division. I stood at my door, hand on the new deadbolt I'd installed myself. Through the window, I could see the last box of Tyler's things, sealed and labeled for storage. Inside was our wedding photo, two people who'd promised to honor each other, before one decided the other was just collateral. The doorbell camera recorded everything as I closed the door and turned the lock. The sound echoed with finality, not an ending, but a beginning. A notification lit up my phone. Your credit monitoring account has been secured. No unauthorized access detected in the last 24 hours. For the first time in days, I took a full, deep breath. The air in my house was mine again. The locks were changed, the accounts were secured, the evidence was filed, and Linda's handcuffs, they fit perfectly. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts below. Have you ever dealt with family members who crossed the line? How did you handle it? Your experiences matter, and I'd love to hear them.